Welcome back to Rock Vault, where the vinyl keeps spinning. Today, we're rewinding to 1979, unearthing the one-hit wonders that lit up the charts, then vanished, yet still echo in our memories like summer nights under neon lights. The moment that riff hit FM radio, it was like a shot of pure adrenaline. My Sharona burst onto the scene in the summer of '79 with a choppy, infectious guitar lick that was impossible to ignore. Doug Feger's urgent vocals rode over Bert Navarre's iconic riff, creating a blend of punkish energy and polished pop hooks that felt brand new, yet instantly familiar. In a year when disco still reigned supreme and new wave was finding its footing, the Knack delivered something brash, tight, and unapologetically catchy. The recording captured that live wire electricity you could feel in small clubs and sweaty rehearsal spaces, a sound born from genuine chemistry and relentless practice. Backstory makes it even more memorable. The song was inspired by Feger's real-life infatuation with a teenage girl named Sharona Alperin. That obsession fueled not just the lyrics, but the urgency in every note. It wasn't some overproduced studio confection. This was raw desire, bottled and pressed into vinyl. Released as their debut single, it shot to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, staying there for 6 weeks, and became Capitol Records' fastest-selling single since the Beatles. For a brief, glorious moment, it felt like the Knack might take over the world. For those of us who lived through it, My Sharona wasn't just a song. It was a summer soundtrack. Teenagers cranked it in their Camaros with the windows down, the heat shimmering off the pavement, and that guitar riff blaring out of tinny dashboard speakers. It was blasting from boom boxes at pool parties, spinning on turntables in record stores, and soundtracking stolen glances across crowded roller rinks. Even if you didn't know who the Knack were, you knew that riff. It wormed its way into your head and refused to leave. What made it such a cultural spark was how it bridged worlds. It had the urgency of punk without the sneer, the pop accessibility of the Beatles without the sentimentality, and a sly wink that kept it from taking itself too seriously. Critics debated whether it was a throwback to the British invasion or a harbinger of power pop's rise. But to listeners, it didn't matter. It was just fun, dangerously, addictively fun. The Knack never managed to replicate its success. They had follow-up singles, but none captured the zeitgeist quite like this one. My Sharona became both their blessing and their curse, the ultimate one-hit wonder. Decades later, that opening riff still stops people in their tracks, pulling them back to a time when a single song could dominate an entire summer. Drop the needle, and you're right there again. Hot asphalt, sunburnt shoulders, and the thrill of something new exploding through the radio. The opening synth notes feel like a doorway to the future, a bright, shimmering portal that, in 1979, seemed to arrive from another planet. Video Killed the Radio Star landed at a crossroads in music history, where the warmth of analog and the sleek promise of digital were colliding. Trevor Horn's soaring vocals, Jeff Downes' playful keyboards, and Bruce Woolley's co-writing magic fused into a track that was both futuristic and irresistibly catchy. The layered production felt unlike anything else on the radio. Lush harmonies, punchy synth stabs, and a rhythm that kept you bobbing your head without even realizing it. It was more than just a hit. It was a prophecy. Long before MTV changed everything, the Buggles tapped into the unease and excitement of a new era where visuals would start to shape how we consumed music. The lyrics carried a bittersweet edge, celebrating progress while mourning what might be lost. And yet, it was delivered with such buoyancy that it felt like an invitation to join the ride rather than resist it. For those of us who remember first hearing it, the song sounded like nothing else in the top 40. It was a blast of neon light in a decade still painted in warm 70s tones. You might have caught it on the car radio while cruising to the beach, or spinning on a turntable at a Saturday night get-together. Its unusual production making you stop mid-conversation just to take it in. Of course, its most enduring claim to fame came 2 years later, August 1st, 1981, when it became the very first music video ever played on MTV. That historic moment cemented its legacy and gave it a permanent home in pop culture history. But even without that milestone, Video Killed the Radio Star stands on its own as a perfect encapsulation of 1979's restless creativity. Part farewell, part bold new beginning. The Buggles never repeated the success of their debut single, but maybe they didn't need to. They'd already given us a time capsule of change, a 3-minute pop gem that still brings a smile and a little awe every time it plays. From the very first chime, Ring My Bell had a shimmer that seemed to light up every disco floor it touched. Anita Ward's voice floated over a crisp, insistent beat, bright percussion, and that hypnotic ding-ding hook that lodged itself in your head for days. In a year when disco was riding high but nearing its peak, this track stood out, not because it was flashy or overproduced, but because it was pure, feel-good energy. Its groove was tight but airy, leaving just enough space for Anita's warm, clear vocal to shine. The backstory only adds to its charm. Originally written by Frederick Knight as a teen song about talking on the phone, it was reworked into something more playful and universal. Ward, who was just starting her recording career, brought a gospel-trained voice that gave the song both purity and sparkle. She wasn't a seasoned nightclub diva. She was a schoolteacher from Memphis, suddenly swept into the spotlight. That freshness came through in every note, giving the track a sincerity that set it apart from more polished disco acts. When Ring My Bell hit the airwaves in early 1979, it was an instant crossover. It jumped from R&B stations to top 40 to clubs without missing a beat. DJs loved it because it was easy to mix. Dancers loved it because the rhythm felt endless, and radio loved it because it was squeaky clean, but irresistibly catchy. Within weeks, it climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for weeks, cementing its place as one of the year's defining hits. For those who lived through it, the song is tied to memories of mirrored disco balls, swirling lights, and sweaty summer nights. It's the sound of roller rinks on Friday evenings, neighborhood block parties, and spontaneous dance-offs in living rooms with shag carpet. Even if you weren't into disco, it was hard not to smile when that opening percussion hit. But as quickly as it came, it was gone. Anita Ward never replicated its massive success, partly due to label issues and the rapid decline of disco in the early 80s. Still, Ring My Bell remains timeless, played at weddings, retro nights, and sampled in countless remixes. It's more than just a disco relic. It's a snapshot of 1979's last big party before the sound of the charts shifted forever. Drop it on a turntable today, and you can still feel the rush. Like opening the door to a packed dance floor and stepping straight into the glow of a moment you wish would never end. If Ring My Bell was the sound of disco's sparkle, pop music was the wink and grin of late 70s pop culture staring at itself in the mirror. Robin Scott, recording under the name M, delivered a track that was playful, self-aware, and instantly addictive. With its bouncy synth lines, steady dance beat, and half-spoken, half-sung vocals, it managed to be both a celebration of pop music and a sly commentary on its omnipresence. Scott came up with the idea after noticing that pop seemed to be everywhere, blaring from radios, leaking out of store speakers, soundtracking nearly every public moment. Rather than critique it, he decided to lean in, crafting a song that was pure ear candy, while slyly poking fun at its own repetition. The result was a minimalist groove, wrapped in bright electronic textures, a sound that felt like a bridge between disco's sheen and the new wave movement just around the corner. For anyone hearing it in '79, pop music felt fresh, almost futuristic. It had the same energy you might find stepping into a neon-lit nightclub for the first time. Exciting, a little strange, and impossible not to move to. Whether you were at a roller rink, a house party, or flipping through records at your local shop. Those first few notes could grab your attention from across the room. The single didn't just chart. It exploded, reaching #1 in the US and topping charts worldwide. And yet, like so many one-hit wonders, M never managed to capture lightning in a bottle again. Still, that one song left a lasting mark. It's been used in commercials, films, and countless DJ sets, its quirky charm refusing to fade. Listening today, pop music is like opening a time capsule from 1979, a reminder of when pop wasn't afraid to be both clever and fun. Drop the needle, and you're instantly transported to a dance floor bathed in colored lights, where the music feels like it could go on forever. From the first pulsing bass line, Born to Be Alive sounded like it was made for movement. Patrick Hernandez's disco anthem was a burst of relentless energy. Bright strings swirling over a four-on-the-floor beat, hand claps keeping time, and Hernandez's confident baritone delivering a simple, universal message. Life is meant to be lived. In a musical landscape where disco was both everywhere and under fire, this song cut through with a positivity that was impossible to resist. Hernandez, a French singer-songwriter, originally released the track in Europe in 1978, where it quickly became a club staple. By 1979, it had crossed the Atlantic, and American audiences embraced it with open arms and dancing shoes. Unlike many disco hits that leaned on lush orchestration or heavy studio trickery, Born to Be Alive had a lean, driving feel that kept the adrenaline high from start to finish. The bass line was rubbery and infectious, the percussion crisp, and the string arrangements sparkled without overwhelming the groove. It wasn't just a dance floor filler, it was a mindset. The lyrics, repetitive yet affirming, became a mantra for late-night revelers and anyone who needed a reminder to grab the moment. Hernandez's vocal delivery carried a sly smile. You could hear the joy in his voice, as if he knew he'd tapped into something timeless. For those who remember '79 firsthand, the song was everywhere, blaring in roller rinks under spinning disco balls, echoing in gyms during aerobics classes, and drifting through open windows on summer nights. It was the kind of track that could pull even the shyest wallflower onto the dance floor, the beat working its way into your bones. What made Born to Be Alive so enduring was its simplicity. It didn't pretend to be deep or dramatic. It was a celebration, pure and simple. Hernandez never replicated its massive success, but in a way that only cemented the song's place as a true one-hit wonder. It stands as a perfect snapshot of disco's final golden year, before the backlash of the early '80s would change pop music's landscape. Even today, drop this track at a wedding reception or retro dance night, and you'll see generations sharing the floor. Parents, kids, and even grandparents, all caught in the same relentless rhythm. It's a reminder that some songs don't just live in their era. They carry forward, ready to spark joy in anyone willing to listen.
You packed in the morning, I stared out the window and
In a year full of bright disco lights and pulsing bass lines, Randy Van Warmer's Just When I Needed You Most was the quiet moment that stopped you in your tracks. Built on a gentle acoustic guitar line and a tender, almost fragile vocal delivery, it stood out for its understatement. No pounding drums, no walls of sound, just a simple melody carrying the weight of heartbreak. Van Warmer wrote the song while living in England, far from home, and reeling from the end of a relationship. That personal ache seeps through every line, the lyrics so direct they feel like pages torn from a diary. Instead of dramatics, he let the emotion speak for itself, leaning on honesty over artifice. It was that sincerity, paired with a soft country pop arrangement, that made the song resonate with anyone who'd ever felt left behind. When it hit the airwaves in '79, it was like a breath of fresh air amid the high-energy chart toppers. It gave listeners permission to slow down, to sit with their feelings, and to remember that music could comfort as much as it could excite. The track climbed to #4 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Van Warmer's only major hit. While he would go on to write for other artists, this song became his signature, a timeless ballad that still finds its way into soft rock playlists and late-night radio sets. For many, it brings back the memory of lying awake on warm summer nights, the window open, the faint sound of crickets outside, and this song drifting from a nearby stereo. Van Warmer's career never reached these heights again, but maybe it didn't need to. Just When I Needed You Most has endured not because it was flashy, but because it was true. And in the fleeting world of one-hit wonders, truth can be the most lasting thing of all.
There's been so many things that's held us down, but now...
From the moment that bassline struts in, Ain't No Stoppin' Us Now radiates pure confidence. It's the sound of breaking free, of shaking off the weight of the past, and striding into the future with your head held high. McFadden and Whitehead, longtime songwriters and producers for Philadelphia International Records, stepped out from behind the curtain in 1979 to deliver a track that would become both their signature hit and a rallying cry for anyone chasing a dream. The duo had already penned hits for the OJs, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and Teddy Pendergrass, but this was their moment in the spotlight. Built on the lush Philly soul sound, silky strings, crisp guitar licks, and that unmistakable groove. The song fused disco's infectious dance energy with the warmth and uplift of classic R&B. The production was immaculate, yet the performance carried an earthy sincerity that made it feel more like a celebration than a studio creation. Lyrically, it was universal. There's been so many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. Those lines landed like a victory speech. Whether you were overcoming personal struggles, celebrating a hard-earned win, or just feeling the joy of a Friday night with friends. In '79, it was everywhere, filling roller rinks, lighting up dance floors, and blasting from car radios with the windows rolled down. It was equally at home at weddings, graduation parties, and political rallies. For many, it became more than a hit. It was a soundtrack for personal triumph. You couldn't help but move when it played. And more importantly, you couldn't help but feel good. The single soared to #1 on the R&B chart and #13 on the Billboard Hot 100, eventually selling millions of copies worldwide. And yet, like so many on this list, McFadden and Whitehead never found another hit of this magnitude. The music world was shifting rapidly in the early '80s, and the Philly soul sound that defined their careers was fading from the mainstream. Still, Ain't No Stoppin' Us Now has endured, becoming a staple at sporting events and celebrations across generations. Even today, cue it up and watch as heads start nodding and feet start moving. It's one of those rare songs that can instantly lift the mood in any room. For a brief moment in 1979, McFadden and Whitehead captured lightning in a bottle, distilling hope, pride, and joy into a 4-minute groove. Decades later, that spark still burns bright, a testament to the power of a single song to keep us moving forward. Amid the disco grooves and power pop anthems of 1979, Rex Smith delivered something entirely different. An intimate, heartfelt ballad that felt like a private confession. You Take My Breath Away was soft and romantic, with lush strings, a gentle piano line, and Smith's tender theatrical voice at the center. It was the kind of song that didn't demand your attention. It invited you in quietly, and once you were there, it stayed with you. Smith, a former teen idol and Broadway performer, first sang the track for the TV movie Sooner or Later. The film told a tender coming-of-age story, and this song became its emotional anchor. That context gave it a cinematic quality, but even outside the movie, it resonated with anyone who'd ever been swept up in the dizzy spell of young love. For listeners in '79, it was the slow dance song, the one played at high school proms, at wedding receptions just before the lights came up, or in the privacy of your bedroom as you imagined the person you hoped would notice you. Its sincerity was its strength. No irony, no artifice, just the simple, earnest declaration of love in its purest form. The single reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Smith his only major pop hit. While he continued acting and singing, nothing else in his career matched the cultural footprint of this track. It became one of those songs tied to a specific memory for so many people. A first kiss, a summer romance, or even the bittersweet goodbye at the end of a perfect night. Today, it's a time capsule from the softer side of '79, a reminder that even in a year dominated by high-energy hits, there was still room for quiet beauty. Drop the needle, and you can almost see the dimmed lights, the shy smiles, and the gentle sway of couples holding on to every last second before the music fades.
It's coming on stronger, coming on so much faster.
Get Used to It is the kind of soft rock gem that breezes in like an open-window summer drive, smooth, unhurried, and quietly confident. Roger Voudouris built the song around a laid-back rhythm, clean guitar lines, and his warm, easygoing vocals, creating a sound that felt like California sunshine pressed into vinyl. It wasn't trying to be a blockbuster anthem. It was content to be a steady companion, the kind of tune that sticks with you long after it's done playing. Voudouris had been part of the LA music scene for years, honing his craft in smaller bands before going solo. Get Used to It became his breakout moment, pairing soft rock's melodic ease with a subtle pop sensibility. The arrangement was uncluttered. Light percussion, breezy guitar, and a hook that floated rather than forced itself on you. It was the sort of track you could play on repeat without wearing it out. For listeners in '79, it was perfect for winding down after a long day. Whether you were watching the sunset from your porch, cruising along the coast, or flipping through a stack of fresh vinyl finds, its message, accepting the ups and downs of love, resonated without preaching. The song climbed into the top 40, giving Voudouris his only major hit. While it never reached the fever-pitch popularity of some of the year's bigger singles, it found a devoted audience who appreciated its unpretentious charm. In an era where music often swung between high-energy disco and edgy new wave, Get Used to It carved out a space for something gentler. Voudouris never duplicated its success, but the track remains a hidden treasure for soft rock fans. Listening now feels like rediscovering an old photograph, slightly faded at the edges, but filled with warmth. It's a reminder that not every hit has to shake the walls. Sometimes, the quiet ones linger the longest. With a warm, rolling bass line and an easygoing guitar groove, Gold by Jon Stewart was like a late-night drive down a sunlit California highway. Smooth, unhurried, and filled with understated charm. Stewart, a former member of the Kingston Trio and an accomplished songwriter, had built a respected career in folk music. But in 1979, he stepped into new territory, blending his folk roots with a West Coast pop rock sensibility that caught radio's attention. What made Gold stand out was its mellow confidence. It didn't push for an explosive chorus or flashy instrumental break. Instead, it let the groove breathe. Stewart's relaxed, almost conversational vocals painted images of Los Angeles nightlife, working-class characters, and a city buzzing with quiet ambition. Adding to its magic were the silky harmonies of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, whose presence gave the track a soft Fleetwood Mac shimmer without stealing its soul. Lyrically, it was a love letter to chasing dreams under the glow of city lights. With just enough grit to keep it from feeling idealized, it was about people chasing their own version of gold, whether that meant fortune, success, or simply the satisfaction of living on your own terms. For those who remember hearing it in '79, Gold was the sound of warm summer nights. Windows rolled down, streetlights flashing past, and the scent of the ocean drifting inland. It was a song that didn't need to shout to be heard. It just settled in beside you, making the ride better. The single climbed into the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming Stewart's only major pop hit. While he continued to write and record for years, Nothing else brought him this level of mainstream recognition. And in true one-hit wonder fashion, Gold never felt overplayed. It remained one of those tracks you'd be delighted to stumble upon on a late-night radio set or tucked into a friend's carefully curated mixtape. Looking back, Gold captured a unique sliver of 1979's soundscape. It wasn't disco, new wave, or hard rock. It was its own blend, easy to listen to, yet rich in atmosphere. Today, it stands as a reminder that sometimes the most enduring songs aren't the loudest or the flashiest. They're the ones that create a feeling you can carry with you long after the last note fades. And there you have it. 10 unforgettable flashes of brilliance from 1979. Each one a reminder of how a single song can define a moment in time. These one-hit wonders may have faded from the charts, but their echoes still live in our memories, carrying the spirit of a year when music felt alive and full of possibility. Which of these takes you back the most? And did we miss one that still plays in your heart? Drop your memories below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep the vinyl spinning.